Good morning. Happy mid-Friday. My name is KJ Hamus, and this is a 60-minute morning yin and meditation class. I'm really excited to be here with you all for this practice. And so we're going to go ahead and begin. If you're new to the practice of yin, yin is a practice of what I would consider discomfort, but it's also a practice of finding great peace and letting go. And so by yin being a practice of discomfort, meaning that we are going to be holding stretches for, anywhere up to 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. And so that can bring a lot of things depending on how tight we are, what's happening emotionally. And so, but we work through that with the breath. So I hope you're as excited as I am to be here this morning, and I'm really pumped to get started. Grab your cup of coffee. Coffee's always welcome. Make sure you've got at least 2 blocks, or if yoga blocks aren't, you don't have them, that's not a problem. Board games, books, just something kind of bigger that you can use to support you. And then lately I've been recommending like a yoga bolster or a pillow as well. Morning, mama. And yeah, so we will go ahead and get started. When's the last sip of coffee? Or tea or water, whatever your jam is in the morning. Oh, I can put that on my road. And then we are going to actually get started in Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclined butterfly pose. And for this, you may want your blocks for, and we're just going to go ahead and put our pillow or our bolster off to the side. We may use that later. And so soles of the feet to touch, knees out nice and wide. Don't force the knees down. Just let them fall where they will. And that's where the blocks can come in real handy, because you can then just place the blocks gently underneath the knees if you'd like. And then just go ahead and lay on back. Take a moment here to get comfortable. Move from like the upper body a little bit to broaden across the back. And this might feel a little stiff or tight this morning, which is why the blocks can come in real handy. So make those adjustments as you need. You do want to feel a little stretch, likely on the inside of the legs, but one that we're going to be able to hold for a little bit as we start to really sink into the body. Let the arms come long by the sides. Let the head hang heavy. Let the head be heavy, neck nice and long. Palms face up, or palms face down. Depending on how you woke up this morning, you might want face down for grounding or up to receive energy as we start to move on this beautiful, at least it's beautiful in DC, mid-Friday. Let's take a couple of deep, slow breaths in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. Deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, sigh it out, let it go. Last time, full breath in. And really sigh it out. Orienting yourself in space and time. The space being here and the time being now. So for the next 60 minutes, letting this be your place. Letting this be the place where you start to wake up the body, wake up that connection between breath and mind. Begin to just settle into the day here. As we start to draw our senses inward, I invite you to bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. Noticing the breath. So full inhales received through the nose, filling up the belly. Full exhales leaving from the heart. So as you softly, gently breathe in, let the belly, the back, and the ribs fill up and expand. And as you exhale, Just slowly let the breath out, feeling the belly button contract toward the spine, and let the breath, let the energy leave from our heart space. So our breath, it's an amazing, amazing thing. And we take it for granted because we barely notice it through the day. We're like, yeah, it's something I just do. And it's there. And it is. It is there for us. It's always there for us. But it's there in so many different ways. So as you become familiar with your breath, right now, don't worry about controlling it or changing it. Just take a moment to send some gratitude toward the breath as you become more familiar with where it's at today. And notice what's traveling on the breath. What is it? What is it trying to bring? It might be bringing up other feelings that are causing you to lock up physically and mentally and emotionally. And the breath might be getting stuck as it's trying to move around. So we use our practice to create more space. Well, let's see if on the breath, maybe you can travel a bit of happiness today. And so starting to focus on something that makes you happy and bring that focus internally. So it's not meaning you have to focus on being like, I'm happy I have bones, but whatever that is that brings you joy, bring it internally and bring it to your heart space, bring it to your center. And start to notice a glow in the body that stems from that happiness, that joy, your happiness. Maybe a small smile starts to come across your face as you think about this. And it's okay if you don't have one. You're like, I've got many. That's great. Start to just bring them to a space, but concentrate on just a few of them. Save some of the others maybe for later when you need a little extra. And as you focus on that sense of happiness, and we've noticed maybe a physical smile has started to come across your face, can you begin to feel the heart smile? So that happiness is slowly beginning to expand and curl up just as our mouth would on the outside. Begin to feel that smile stem from the center, from the heart space, out to the sides of the body, beginning to spread that joy. And then focus as it moves up from the heart space to the throat, to our face. Maybe this internal smile starts to match your external smile. So it goes all the way up to the crown of the head. And just focus on the feeling now. And then start to notice that happiness move from the sides as it begins to just make its way down the lower part of the body, almost like rain. Maybe it's rain. Maybe it's just like a big bubble. As it spreads, this happiness spreads to all parts of the body. As you find that happiness, Feel grounded in that place. Letting the earth hold you up, letting that happiness stay in the body, but also begin to plant roots, helping you feel connected. And as that happiness continues to expand, let it move slightly outside the body, encompassing you 3 feet in all directions, almost as if you're in a happiness cocoon. As you take a couple of moments here just to be in that space, just find a light awareness on the breath and notice the energy as it rests on the body, as it rests inside, and as it moves. Letting the jaw relax, letting the roof of the mouth rise, and finding that smile. So when we smile externally, we're actually helping tone our vagus nerve, which is a really important nerve in the body, as it can help us control our stress response. And it can also help us move from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic parts of the nervous system, as it connects all the way from the brain down to the belly. It's really cool. And so smiling helps us tone that. So it can play an important role in us finding the peace as we move into our day. So just taking one more moment here, I invite you to expand your awareness, feeling the weight of the body on the mat, letting that feeling travel with you, that feeling of happiness travel with you. And also notice the legs. So maybe as you came into this shape, it felt really tight. The hips, the inside of the legs felt really tight. Maybe just notice them now. Notice if they've settled. Notice if they've opened. So using happiness as our intention throughout the practice, let's gently bring our hands to our knees as we draw them together, bringing the feet to touch on the ground, or bringing the feet to touch the ground, knees pointed straight up. Bring your arms out long in front of you as if you were reaching somebody to give them a big hug, which we're probably all thinking about what we'll do after social distancing. Slowly open the eyes, concentrate on one part of the ceiling. Keep the heart open up, and then very slowly begin to lift up. Taking a little bit of a sit up here and letting that bring us up. So we're going to come into our first shape. We're going to take a butterfly pose. We're going to bring one of our blocks in between our feet. So on the medium setting on one of the sides, or use your book here and press the feet into the block. So you're going to feel a little bit more on the inside of the legs. So we're going to add a little strength to the inside of the legs. You can always use this block to rest your head on, or you can create a block tower, just depending on how open you're feeling this morning. You don't have to be super open this morning. We all just likely woke up maybe and had a small sip of coffee. So this shape is going to help us start to stretch out the low back without requiring loose hamstrings. And so start by sitting up nice and tall. And then from here, just round the back, fold forward. And so normally without the block, we may be able to go down a little bit, but notice any tension that's coming up as we just press our feet lightly into the block. So you may not go down as far, which is where that block tower will come in real handy. Took off my glasses thinking my body was going to be able to go a little bit farther. And that was not the case this morning. So we learn new things every day about our body. Let's find the joy in that. Let's be here for 3 minutes, and I'm just setting my timer. I promise I'm not checking my email. I don't think you can see that, but it is just the timer. And let's let the head hang heavy here and find the breath. So as we come into this shape a little bit, you might notice some other areas. You might notice it a little bit in the knee. And if you do, maybe you just scooch the block out and the feet out a little bit, seeing if that, we don't want the stretch to completely go away in the body, but we want to make sure that we're not harming any parts of the body as we get into that. So we're going to breathe here. Come back to that point in the center of the chest where we let our happiness reside. And continue to just notice it and be in it today. And see if you can use the breath slowly and gently to ease that tension that we were feeling. So while it's a practice of discomfort, we're also working with the breath to help us move in that discomfort and understand that discomfort. So not all discomfort is bad, not all tension is bad. We need tension to help the muscles become strong, to even help our bones stay strong. But we also want to be able to find some rest in that too. And that tension that we're feeling right now physically can also bring up things emotionally. So if the emotional tension that starts to come up is causing the mind to wander, take a moment, maybe inquire as to why, what's keeping you from being here in the present. And maybe that's something you explore later, where you give yourself a little bit of time right now to notice and take stock of. But more importantly, focus on the breath. Try and let the happiness in the heart continue to expand throughout the body. It's okay if we're making a few adjustments today throughout. We're working towards stillness, but as using the block within the feet could be new for many of us, we might need a little extra time to find that stillness. And as I say that, we're going to hold the shape for an extra minute, just to really give ourselves a chance to settle in here. So bring a gentle awareness to the breath. Let the head hang. Let the background. We've got about 30 seconds left here. Take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Gently bring your hands on the blocks and slowly start to come on up. Remove the block from the center of the feet and just bring your hands behind you. And as the feet come to the ground, windshield wiper the feet from side to side. You might widen out the stance of the feet too, so they're a little bit more hips width distance apart. We're just working on that internal and external rotation of the hips, noticing how you feel. So not every stretch we do is going to bring about a lot of intensity. Maybe it did, that's great. And if it didn't, that's great too. It's just finding that stillness in the shape. So there's more to the practice than than just a really good stretch, even though that is a beautiful benefit. But what can we learn in the stillness? What can we come from that? And today, hopefully, it's happiness. So our next shape we're going to take is a camel pose. That's going to start to open up the heart. And we want to be really mindful here as we take this because of the spine this morning. So our spine is going to be a lot stiffer due to the hydration in between the disc and the vertebra. So we're not going to take it as we would in a yoga practice. We're going to take it nice and supported. So we're taking the stress off the spine. And this is where blocks may come in handy too, just depending on the reach to the ground. So always feel free to create new ground for yourself with the blocks. And so bring your hands behind you, again, on the blocks or on the ground or your books. When I say blocks, I'm referring to books or your board games too. Place them flat. As you sit up on the heels, just lift up, lift the hips, push them forward. And if it feels okay, either keep your gaze up or feel free to drop the neck. So we're only going to be here for a minute, and we'll revisit this shape at another point throughout the practice. But this 1 minute, you're going to start to feel it across the back, across the chest, into the back. So just a gentle back bend here. By placing our hands on the ground, we're taking some of the pressure off the spine. Whereas in a yang practice, when we're doing camel, we're focusing more on the flexibility and not so much always the strength of it, which is not a bad thing. We need both. But right now we want to have that extra support as we take this back bend. Just checking my timer, 30 seconds left here. Keep pressing your hips forward. Find the breath, feel the shoulders open, feel the heart lift up. Take a deep, slow breath in. And very gently, slowly come on down. Nice job. And so we opened up the heart, we stretched the back. Let's do a little back strengthening because we really want both. As we were strengthening the inner thighs, we'll also do a little bit of strengthening in a bit on the back of the thighs. But from here, just start to find your way onto your belly. And let's bring our legs together, or no, let's keep them about hips width distance apart today. And bring your arms out nice and long. Palms can face down. From here, as you inhale, just start to lift up the arms and lift up the legs. So taking a variation of Shalabhasana, locust pose, keep the gaze 6 inches in front of you so you can keep a nice neutral neck. And so we're using the back muscles to help us lift up. We're strengthening them. So as you breathe here on the inhale, just start to swim the arms behind you. And you can reach about halfway. Turn the palms up. Bend at the elbows and just gently bring them to touch at the back. Try not to touch the back. And then keeping the palms up, swimming up to that halfway point, and flipping the palms down and bringing them forward. Just take that a few more times. So opening up the shoulders, strengthening the back. Maybe you lift up a little higher. Let's take 3 more. Neck nice and long. Really lift up. As you breathe in, feel the lungs fill you up. See, we're all imagining we're at the beach right now. Hopefully, swimming in the ocean. And then as you're ready, as you come back to the front, bring the fingertips to the ground, cupcake the fingers, slowly, gently lower the feet, and then release the head down. Pause here for a minute. Maybe your hands come underneath the forehead or underneath the chin. And just take a couple of deep breaths here. Come back to that point of happiness. Find joy in the rest. Give yourself permission to just bask in it, to be in it. And then place your hands underneath your shoulders, forehead to the mat. Uncurl the back toes and then press up, high plank. And again, we sometimes call this crocodile pose. So breathe here. Round through the upper back. Send the heels up. Don't let the butt too far up and don't let the hips drop. One long line of energy. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly walk your hands to meet the feet at the back of the mat. Let's come into dangling pose. So for dangling, bring your feet hips width distance apart. That's roughly 2 fist width. My feet itch. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And blocks might come in real handy here. Put them at whatever level feels good. And let the upper body fold and sort of hang like spaghetti. So stretching out the hamstrings in the back. Again, working to open up the spine, the ligaments along the spine. We'll be here for 3 minutes. Feel free to bend the knees as much as you need to. If you don't have books, blocks, or board games or anything that's feeling really supportive, reach for opposite elbows and place the forearms on the thighs and then rest the chest on the thighs as you bend the knees. Notice how that feels if just letting the arms hang nice and long is causing too much intensity. So while we want to be in a practice of discomfort, we are avoiding pain. As Dr. Ariel Foster, a local DC yoga teacher, says, she goes, we want to be sommeliers of sensation and not seekers of pain. And so making these little adjustments can mean all that difference. And it's so true, because we don't want to be in pain. We're using this to help us open up the body so we can continue to let the happiness spread. Just be here. And let the head hang nice and heavy. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Find a soft, gentle focus on the breath. Let the shoulders release. You're placing your hands on your blocks. Try not to press like you're holding yourself up. Just use them as a point to just provide a little support, a little light touch on the blocks. Bend the knees though as much as you need to. About 30 seconds left here. So before we come out of this shape, can you find a bit of joy here? Can you bring that smile back to your face? As you breathe in, just slowly heel to the feet, to the width of the mat. Let the toes turn out just a little bit. Put the blocks off to the side and continue to fold forward. Now very slowly, you bring your hands to your heart space. begin to lower down to a squat. Nice and slow. We're not going to be here for long because using the muscles in the back of the legs, slowly begin to find that forward fold again. So we're using our hamstrings, we're using our glutes. And then just as we reach the top before the knees straighten, you're going to slowly lower back down to the squat. Keep the booty out. Let's take a few more, nice and slow. Strengthening, we stretch. Let's strengthen the back side of the body, that posterior chain. It's really important that we do that, especially if we sit all day, because we're in a passive stretch along the back side of the body, and then our front side gets nice and short. So while we spend a lot of time strengthening the front side, we don't always spend enough time strengthening the back side. So the back of the body, the hamstrings, the calves, the glutes, the hips. And we want to stretch the front, and we'll get to both today. So let's just take one more full round. And then the next time, slowly, gently, again, using the muscles, not using momentum, come into your squat, your yogi squat. Nice job. Woo! We'll be here for 2 minutes. This might be a great place for a block to sit up on the block. And let's bring our elbows inside the legs, crown of the head, nice and tall, and just gently press the elbows into the legs to open up. So we're warming up the hips, getting into the hip joints, strengthening the ankles as well. We don't spend a lot of time strengthening our ankles, in particular our feet too, because they're literally the furthest thing from our mind. So we want to spend some time doing that. I also call this the basement preparedness pose. So if you own a house and your basement's ever flooded, you know what I'm talking about. Not speaking from personal experience at all. But let's breathe here. And this is one of those shapes that might be really challenging to find happiness in, that might be challenging to find joy in. So come back to that sense of happiness we've been carrying with us throughout the practice. And if right now it feels a little lost, smile. See what that does. What does that bring up? You're doing great. We're about 30 seconds left. Continue to breathe here. Maybe you close your eyes for this last little bit. Let's take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Keeping your hands at your heart space. Slowly, gently begin to find that forward fold. Use the hamstrings. Use the glutes. And then come on back down. Maybe walk your way up just a little bit as you find your way back down. Let's take one more round. So slowly as you exhale, start to fold forward. Squeeze the hamstrings, squeeze the glutes. It's like a really slow squat. We're in no rush, nice and slow. And then as you come into this squat, bring your hands behind you. Slowly come on back. Hands come to your heart space in Navasana, boat pose. Let the heels touch. You can scoot up a little bit more if you need to. Sit up nice and tall. So we strengthen the back side of the body. We did our back strengthening exercise. We want to make sure that the front side of the body feels just as strong. So we're taking our hands at our heart space. We're pulling the energy from our heart space as we take a breath in, sit up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, extend the feet, extend the arms. Ardha Navasana, half boat. Inhale, draw the energy back into the body. Exhale, push it out. Let's keep moving and breathing. You've got 1 minute here. You're doing great. Take as many breaks as you need, but trust yourself. Try and move nice and slow. If moving the hands is too much, bring your hands to underneath your knees and use that to help you find that movement. You can always bring your hands down to the ground as well and take that variation too. Find support where you can, find support where you need it. You've got this, 30 seconds. I know nobody loves to do core, but we do need it. It helps us think about your core as not the muscles, but as the center of who you are. And we're strengthening that. We want the happiness to be able to flow. We want to be who we are. Take one more. Sit up nice and tall in Navasana. And then bring the feet down to the ground. Give yourself a real big hug. Ugh. Core work is always so hard. Not only the physical part of it, but as we start to think about it in relation to who we are, we want that to be strong. If we've got a strong core, then we can hopefully feel good about ourselves too. Alrighty, so the next shape we're going to come into is going to be a shoelace pose. That's going to help us get into the outside of the hips. So bring your legs nice and long. And then let's cross the right ankle over the left. And then from here, with the legs still crossed, draw the feet or the heels toward the glutes, stacking one knee on top of the other. Don't worry if they're not perfectly stacked. That's okay. They don't have to be. And then grab one of your blocks and place it, let's say on the medium level for right now, in front of you. And we're going to come into an eagle arm variation or a self-hug variation to open up the chest, open up the backside once again. So from here, with our right leg on top, let's bring our right arm underneath, our left arm on top, yeah? You can stay right here, especially if you're feeling the stretch along the glute and the outside of the hip. You may not feel a ton on the shoulders. You may feel all the things on the shoulders and some variation between. You can stay right here, or if it feels good, go ahead and rest the elbows on the block. If it becomes too high, then bring that block down another level. So we're actually going to be here for 4 minutes. And so let's just close the eyes and breathe. In the self-hug variation, I apologize, I should have mentioned that. It's just where we're reaching for opposite shoulders. We're really giving ourselves that hug, giving us that love and support that we need today. So focus on the breath. As you're here, the mind might start to wander because that's what happens in the stillness, which is why we practice it. And if that's the case, that's okay. Our brain is designed to think. But come back to that which makes you happy. The initial thought you had this morning about happiness. And continue to let that radiate throughout the body. Again, bringing a smile to your face internally and externally. And allow that same glow as you're ready to slowly move up and down the body and begin to surround you. Got about 30 seconds left here. Maybe you adjust the block if you haven't already done so. See if you can pull just a little deeper. If not, that's okay. It's just a suggestion. Just to notice how we feel. See if we're able to get into the fascia a little bit more. And take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Slowly keeping the mind lift on up. Uncurl the arms. Take a big stretch. Maybe you just bring the arms behind you and open up the heart. And then very gently, we're going to take a fun way to get to the other side. I enjoy this. I don't know if everybody finds it fun, but why not? So bring your hands kind of behind you. We're going to go, if your right leg's on top, you're going to move to the left. And you're going to start to spin. Find your twist. Twist around. And then magically our left leg's on the other side. I don't know, I find that so fun. It's the little things in life, friends. Just the little thing. And if you're like, KJ, you crazy, that did not work for me. That's cool. Just come on into the other side. Left knee on top here. So since we did the left arm underneath, we'll do the right arm underneath this time. And then from here, you can sit up nice and tall again, especially if you're already feeling it in the glute and in the hamstring. Put your block on probably your medium level or maybe your tallest level, just depending on where you're feeling, especially on this side. Each side can be very, very different. And then stay here or just start to fold for our 4 minutes. And again, if you're giving yourself a big hug, switch which arm is going to be on top. Focus on the breath. Find the happiness. Try and let the head hang heavy. Try and focus on the breath and on joy. About 30 seconds left here. Take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Keeping the behind just gently lift on up. Bring the arms out to the sides. Take a big reach up. Or maybe bring your arms behind you. Open up. And let's just take our fun twist again, or at least I think it's fun, to the other side. We're not going to do the other side again. We're just going to even out. And then straighten out the legs. Give them a good shake. And then bringing the feet back to the ground. Bring your arms out nice and long. We're going to take that reverse sit up. So sit up nice and tall, heart shining forward. Keep the gaze in front of you, and then it'll eventually come on up. Heart shines proud. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower down. Try not to round the spine. Come on down. So for this next and final shape, we're going to open up these front hip flexors here. We're going to take a variation on a half saddle pose. And I'll also show an alternate too, just depending on how the knees feel. We want to be really mindful and cautious of the knees. So we'll start on the right side, and I'm just going to sit up a little bit so you can see. Left knee will still be pointed to the sky. You're going to slowly walk the right foot toward the left glute, and then you're going to bring the knee down to the ground. So as you're on your back, the knee might not come all the way to the ground. Not a problem. Again, create new ground for yourself by using a block or your book, or even your bolster. The block might be too high, so your pillow can provide that there. And so you'll lay here, and you're going to feel the stretch on the front side of the leg. So you want to be really mindful of the knee. I have personally found this variation to be much kinder to the knee versus the other variation, another variation where your top of your foot is on the ground almost towards your right glute. So this is variation 1. You can stay here, or you can even draw the left knee toward the chest. If this is still too much on the knee, but we want that stretch, not a problem. Come onto your belly, press into your left forearm, reach back for the right foot. If you happen to have a towel or a blanket that can be used as a strap, sling that around your foot, and then use both hands to start to draw that forward. If you're taking this variation, you may consider turning the fingertips in line with the toes. You might even need to lift the foot off just a little bit. Okay? So we're going to be in each side for about 3 to 4 minutes. 4 minutes each, if you will. Take your time, make the adjustments you need to make. Just be here. And so as we're on our backs, take a few wiggles to just open up the back side of the body so you can breathe across the whole back, but you feel the heart really start to open. Just let everything settle here. Let the breath settle. Let the mind soften. And even though it's softening, that doesn't mean we want to be thinking about what's next. We want to be focused here in this moment. Draw yourself back to your intention, happiness. Let that radiate from the heart space. As you softly breathe in, fill up the belly, the back, and the ribs. And as you slowly breathe out, let the breath leave from the heart space. So filling up that area. Letting that chakra be full. And it's okay to smile. Notice if you're holding tension in the low back. If you're purposely holding yourself up, try and let that go. About 30 seconds left here. Continue to breathe deeply, breathe slowly. And take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Very gently, if you have your left knee into the chest, draw it down. If you're taking the other variation on your belly, just bring the head, bring the leg down. You're taking this variation on your back, guide your right knee back up to the ceiling. Maybe you stretch out the leg. And then we're going to move to the other side. So on your back, keep the right knee up to the sky. Start to scooch the left toe, the left foot toward the right glute, and then slowly bring the knee down, grabbing the block here if you need it to place underneath the knee. If you're on your belly, go ahead and grab your strap or your blanket and just switch sides, finding that stretch along the quadricep. Then you might need to lift up the knee a little bit more without straining, without hurting the knee. And it doesn't have to be super intense. If you feel a little something, just stay there because the work is still happening. Now, each side is very different, so you might need to do something very different on this side. This stretch might be more intense, so you might not be ready to bring the knee in quite yet. Or maybe use your block this time for that right knee so you don't have to hold it in, and that just gives you a different variation too. So take a couple of breaths, adjust, and then just be here. And try not to hold up the low back. Try and let the low back sink into the earth. So as we take this position, I've been noticing myself that I'm tensing up my back, and that's really intensifying the stretch, and it's not good for my low back. So if you're kind of doing the same thing, take a mental note and be like, oh, and then take a deep breath and ease into it. See what happens. Just the final 4 minutes, really 3 minutes at this point. About 30 seconds left here. Let's take a deep, slow breath in and a deep, slow breath out. Gently moving any props you have off to the side. Bringing both knees into the chest, taking a few circles on the ceiling with the knees. Then drawing the forehead to the knees, tensing everything up, squeezing everything in. And then releasing Savasana, final resting pose. If you were on your belly, feel free to stay there. Sometimes that can feel really nice. And take a deep, slow breath in. Exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. 2 more full breath in. And a full breath out. Last time, inhale. Exhale. You are here. Let yourself be here. Let yourself rest. Feel the head grow heavy on the ground. Just take a moment to come back to where you started. Happiness when it was at its fullest at the very beginning of the practice. Just feel that glow once again emanating from the heart space. Be here with it. Let it encompass you like a cocoon. And take a deep, slow breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. Start to invite some gentle movement back into the body by wiggling fingers and toes. Reach the arms long overhead, take a full body stretch. And then roll onto your favorite side. Pausing for a moment, giving yourself a real big hug. And then slowly making your way to a comfortable seat at the top of the mat. Just pausing for a moment. Once you get there, no rush. Just be. Just notice how you feel. As we bring our hands to our heart space to honor our intention, take a moment here to set the intention for the rest of the day. Can you bring that happiness into everything you do today? Can you find a little bit of joy in all things? Bowing your hands to your head in a moment of gratitude. Thank yourself for making time for your practice today, for showing up, and silently thanking those who joined us to create this virtual community. Lifting thumbs to the space between the eyes, the third eye center, the seat of the intuition. Know everything you need is already inside. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.